Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie.
And each week, we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird. So we are attempting to record our very first episode of History for Weirdos. I'm Stephanie Cerati Iverson.
And I'm Andrew Iverson.
But we are in my mom and dad's bedroom, which is kind of a weird place to start this. We're not usually in my parents' bedroom, but we are hanging out with my brother and sister today. My brother's 14, my sister's 11, so we're kind of babysitting and needed to tuck ourselves away somewhere quiet.
We really just didn't have anywhere else to be in this apartment.
So we have no idea if this is going to sound good or if it's going to work. Our corgi Stella, you might hear her in the background crying because she wants to get out of the room.
Yeah.
But we figured we would give it a shot because we're super excited to tell whoever is listening, which is...
maybe like about a dozen people at this point.
Maybe if we're lucky.
Yeah.
Definitely your grandma.
Oh, my grandma for sure. Thanks, Grandma Susie. I love you.
And Grandma Judy.
Oh, and Grandma Judy, of course.
Ooh, burn.
Oh.
So probably not as much pressure as we're thinking, but...
Yeah. Well, so the way this came about was one day Stephanie just emailed me and was like, you know what? You know those like weird conversations we always have that last like usually like about an hour or so into like really just obscure facts about history? We should just record those.
Yeah.
And then just go through it. And I was like, yes, let's absolutely do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, why not?
Exactly. And my name is Stephanie, and we're married. We didn't say that. We are husband and wife. We've been married for almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years, yeah.
And I am a graduate student. I'm getting my MSW at Columbia University online. So I'm a social worker. I'm also like a therapist, and I work with veterans right now. But similarly, we're super, super different, as I'm sure everyone will hear. But we do have this shared love for history, and especially things that maybe aren't that strange now, but in the context of their time were incredibly weird or controversial or shocking. So we're really excited to hopefully entertain you guys a little bit as we talk about the stuff that we genuinely find super entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, very first story of History for Weirdos that we're going to do is... Thank you so much. They wouldn't have known otherwise.
No, absolutely not.
I am going to cover Khutulun, the wrestler princess. I feel really nervous with you looking at my notes, so can you not look at them?
I'm not looking at your notes, okay.
You can still face the mic, but just don't look at my notes.
Turning away now.
Oh, actually, super quick thing we should say is this in no way is like hard-hitting historical, like literary review type stuff. We are like not even armchair experts.
No, absolutely not. Like we mentioned, we're not involved in in studying history from an academic perspective. In fact, neither of us even have degrees in history. But something that just really drives us and that we're actually passionate about is history.
It's just learning about it, talking about it.
Exactly. So if you see us at a party, we might talk your ear off about something obscure and awesome, and we might know a bit about that. But in no way, shape, or form are we actual leading experts in this field.
Yes. So you can consider our storytelling as just that. It's like story time. it's not particularly factual. If you're here to learn, that might not happen. Learning might just be a side effect of what we're doing. This is mostly for fun. And hopefully there's some educational bits and pieces for all of us, for Andrew and I, and for you guys, but the objective is not to teach you history. So
yes, it's just to have fun.
There's plenty of other awesome podcasts, I'm sure, where you could find much more reliable hosts than us. But getting back to my introduction.
But here we are. Please listen to us.
Yeah, but listen anyway. Getting back to who I want to talk about today, it is Khutulun, the wrestler princess. So according to my research, what seems to be the most accurate pronunciation of her name is Khutulun. But if anyone listening actually knows how to say her name without sounding like a total jackass, please let me know. Khutulun, for now, is the best that I can do. This is a Mongolian name, for context. So if anyone knows, you can feel free to let us know, and I can correct myself for the future. But I am going to be talking about Khutulun, the wrestler princess, and I got a lot of this information from Wikipedia, of course, as well as this really cool YouTube channel that I found called Biographics. The host's name is Simon Whistler. I totally recommend checking that out. It's like really quick, like, I don't know, like 15-minute videos where he talks about history, but in a much more professional way. As well as a BuzzFeed article, so you know this information is reliable. And this super dope website that I found called Rejected Princesses, which I highly recommend.
Oh my God.
Into. Yeah.
So like the opposite of a Disney princess.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Rejected Princesses. So, Khutulun, also known as, oh God, please forgive these pronunciations.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Ayarung, Kotol Taskan, and Ayarug, the best I can do.
Oh, wow.
Was a Mongol noblewoman and wrestler. Yes, you heard that correctly. Basically a princess and a very famous wrestler in her time. She was the most famous daughter of Kaidu, a very powerful ruler in Central Asia. And her dad is also the cousin of someone you may have heard of, Kublai Khan. For context, Kublai Khan was an emperor who reigned from 1271 to 1294 and founded the Yuan dynasty in China. It was a really big deal, and our girl Khutulun is related to him. So, for context, the Mongolian Empire existed during the 13th and 14th centuries from 1206 to 1368, known for its massive conquest that eventually became, this is a quote, the largest contiguous, I'd have never heard that before, largest contiguous land empire in history.
Yeah, so it was all connected by land. There was like no water in there. And like to put in context, like this empire at its height stretched from Eastern Europe. So, like, I mean, like, almost really Central Europe, actually.
That's exactly
like,
what I'm about to say.
Oh, damn it.
That's my story.
It's your story. I'm going to let you... I'm
the
just going to stop
Empire... Andrew's a ham, you guys. He's going to want to keep jumping in.
Yeah.
The empire spread across Eastern and parts of Central Europe to Japan, and then north up into Siberia, east into India, Southeast Asia, and into the Iranian plateau. That's huge.
That's huge. And also as far east to the Sea of Japan.
That's what I said just now.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Wow.
The Ochi ruler of the Mongols, who was first unified the various nomadic tribes in Mongolia, is someone that I know we've heard of, who I think is who you were going to reference earlier, which is Genghis Khan. So Genghis Khan's the dude that, like, united all of this. Everyone used to kind of just be separate, nomadic, traveling around, doing their own thing, and he made this a more unified empire. Mm-hmm. So, Khutulun, who lived from 1260 to 1306, was the great-great-granddaughter of Genghis Khan. It seems like Khutulun really took after her grandfather in the fact that she was an very impressive, very strong warrior. Supposedly, her dad was really impressed by her and her abilities. That's a quote, abilities. I'm not sure what that means, but I think it refers to her fighting skills.
Probably, yeah, warfare.
Yeah. So much so that she actually accompanied him on his military campaigns, including the one against the Yuan dynasty ruled by the Great Khan, her uncle.
Wow.
So at some point they rebel against him.
Yeah, and that's the problem with these like large empires is that you'll have like, you'll have one great leader like a Kublai Khan or a Genghis Khan, and they will, very strong personality, like I forgot the term's like escaping me, but like cult of personality, I guess. And they're able to control that empire just through like sheer strength. But then once they die, there isn't someone that's like them. And so these things, especially back then with technology not being to par as it is today, they just crumble.
Yeah. So famous Italian explorer Marco Polo, like the kid game that you
Yeah, Marco Polo.
Yeah, I was so excited. Like all of the information we know about her comes from him.
Wow.
So he actually lived in Kublai Khan's court. And he documented a lot of what we currently know about the Mongolian Empire at that time. Marco Polo describes Khutulun as, and this is like a quote from his journals, a superb warrior, one who could ride into enemy ranks and snatch a captive as easily as a hawk snatches a chicken.
I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know. Shout out to Marco Polo for that very vivid and descriptive imagery.
Seriously.
In the really good YouTube channel that I referenced with Simon Whistler, he describes Khutulun, this YouTube historian that I found, as possibly the greatest Mongolian warrior of all time. Yeah. So she's really amazing. She grew up with 14 brothers in a very traditional nomadic-style Mongolian family. They valued skills that Khutulun excelled at, such as horseback riding. And apparently, in the Mongolian culture at that time, boys would learn how to ride horses by the age of 2.
Oh my god!
Like a 2-year-old, a toddler. I know.
When do kids learn to walk?
I don't know. We don't have children, so
yeah, we don't. Yeah,
we
have a dog, and that's about it.
Yeah, but that's insane. 2 years old riding a horse, and she was also really good at archery. So it makes sense that these things were really valued because the goal of this empire, possibly the goal of all empires, is to expand and to take over. And they were really good at it. The Mongolians were really, really good at fighting and warfare and kicking ass in general. So while our girl was really freaking good at these skills, she was even better at what?
Wrestling.
Yeah, at wrestling.
Wrestling, as my high school football coach would say. Wrestling.
Oh my gosh. In her family's Mongol clan, physical ability was the best quality you could have. And wrestling matches were like a really common sport, but from what I researched, it's not like wrestling that we think of today. It's not like high school wrestling.
Not like the Olympic.
No.
The Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah, so anyone could join in these competitions regardless of their size or gender. As far as I can tell, there were no official rules or time limits.
Oh, jeez.
But, I know, yeah. If you were really good, if you won a lot, people truly believed that you must be gifted by the gods to be good at this skill that they so highly valued. And Khutulun was undefeated.
Undefeated. And how many, like, fights or matches did she have?
Oh, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's completely undefeated. So we know this because of accounts from Marco Polo, as well as an Iranian historian of the time named Rashid al-Din, who wrote that her dad, Kaidu, deeply wanted for Khutulun to find a good husband, but she wasn't really stoked on it. So she refused to marry any man unless he could beat her at wrestling.
I mean, I think you gave me a similar proposition when we, were started dating and like actually getting serious.
Yeah, and you didn't beat me, but I was just really
I lost. I lost like badly, but I mean,
but I liked you enough that we still got married.
I mean, she has really strong legs, so there's no. I was doomed from the beginning.
So this is a very big deal because even a prince wouldn't normally have a say in who he marries, right? Mm-hmm. Marriages back then were used as a form of political allyship, and things such as love and compatibility weren't really considered at that time. So nonetheless, her dad agreed, and Khutulun came up with this proposition. If you could beat her at wrestling, she'd marry you. But if you lost, you'd owe her 100 horses.
Oh, man.
Why horses? Horses were a really integral part of the Mongolian culture, and apparently there used to be a saying that I think sounds really beautiful. A Mongol without a horse is like a bird without wings.
Oh, and I think to put a little context, their fighting style is like, at this time in Europe, like they had heavy armor, and it was that, and like, standing lines, long formation, even knights were like, had tons of armor on their horses as well as their body. Whereas Mongols had very little armor, if any at all, and and their primary weapon was not the sword, it was actually a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, if you beat her at wrestling, you'd owe her. I'm sorry. If you lost, you'd owe her 100 horses. And it said that Khutulun ended up with 10,000 horses. This likely isn't exact, right? Like people hyperbolize a lot, but it's 10,000 horses is a lot to think about in that ballpark.
So that's like 100 matches, I'm assuming. Yeah.
I imagine that at first these noble dudes showed up thinking that beating a princess at wrestling would be easy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're like, oh, this princess.
Yeah.
Like, well, oh, sure, I'll wrestle this princess and marry her or whatever. And she was, a member of, obviously, an extremely prominent family, so it would have been great for them. But they were very wrong. Very, very wrong. These matches became famous, and people from all over, including Marco Polo, our boy, would travel to gather and watch Khutulun wrestle these men to the ground and take their horses as trophies.
That's so badass.
Right?
Yeah.
People loved watching her kick ass, and the crowds would go nuts for it. But then, in the year 1280, so Khutulun is like about 20, the son of King Pamar threw his hat in the ring, and he bet her 1,000 horses instead of the usual 100.
Ooh,
yeah.
Dumb move.
Right?
Dumb
Apparently,
move.
He was a handsome and super loaded dude, and her parents actually wanted Khutulun to throw the fight so that they could get married, because they're like, this is actually like the perfect husband for you.
Yeah.
And they asked her, they're like, just lose on purpose.
So rich, good looking, good
family.
Yeah.
But our girl refused to lose on purpose.
Damn, that's some principle right there.
Yeah, she was like, what
Good for her, man. She's 20 years old with
20 years old, as, it seems like there's, in some respects, a little bit of like gender equality in this culture of theirs, probably in other respects not, but enough that they let her be a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
But still, as a woman, as a princess, as someone who's 20, who's like, okay, girl, when are you going to get married? She's just like not going to bend on her principles or her values.
Yeah, like what this is like the high Middle Ages. I can't think of another female that was given this much latitude, be royal or not.
Yeah, like, you're totally right.
I can't think of a single one.
So she refused, but this fight actually took longer than any other fight she had. So some wonder, was she thinking of throwing the fight, or was he actually just a really good wrestler that could have almost beat her? But she won. And this time, the crowd didn't cheer. They were really disappointed because all the people watching really actually wanted Khutulun to end up with this guy. Aww. So it was the first time ever that she throws a prince or a nobleman to the ground, and the whole hall was silent.
Wow, that's probably where the term deafening silence comes from.
So years later, after tons of kicking ass and winning at these wrestling matches, people began to speculate. Why did Khutulun want to do this? Why did she not want to be married? Why did she want to be husbandless forever, is what it seemed like to them. Because this is years of her just beating men. So, of course, rumors about the princess began to spread. And, again, in the video that I watched with Simon Whistler, he points out that today it might have been considered that Khutulun was lesbian, asexual, or transgender. So, while, again, I think it was somewhat progressive of a culture, I don't believe that homosexuality was accepted at this time, which is unfortunately true for so many cultures.
Right.
So if that was the case, she definitely would have wanted to keep that under wraps and have been hiding it. Or again, asexuality is definitely possible. We just don't know because no one at that time would have bothered to ask this young woman exactly what she wanted. Or maybe she just wanted a husband that could beat her
at wrestling.
Yeah,
maybe she wanted someone who's like a superior.
Yeah, maybe she wanted someone that was at least on par with her. You know,
right.
She was the greatest warrior. She's like, it would probably not be attractive to date someone that's weaker than you at that level. But anyway, the most upsetting rumor about Khutulun that came out of this,
oh no,
of course, was that she and her dad were actually having an incestuous relationship.
Oh, yeah. God.
I know. This isn't Game of Thrones, people.
I know. Come on. Oh, come on.
But thankfully, historians believe this is actually very unlikely. And that it was just, like, haters being haters.
So, like, propaganda from, like, enemies.
No, just their own people.
Oh.
It's just, I think it was really hard for them to see a woman that wasn't, like, jumping at the chance to get married. So they're like, oh, she must be sleeping with her dad. Well, the Persian historian that I mentioned before, Rashid al-Din, believed that Khutulun was actually in love with her cousin Ghazan. And that they weren't allowed to get married because they were too closely related.
Right.
But we're not sure if this is true either. Ultimately, the two did not marry each other. Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we'll never actually know, like, what was the true reason.
Yeah, we won't. There's not actually that many firsthand accounts of her, aside from these two historians, so we don't really know a lot about what was going on in her life personally. So historians don't believe that Khutulun ever actually got married, but we aren't 100% sure. What we do know is that she continued to fight in battles alongside her father, like the boss-ass bitch she was born to be. Her father considered her to be the strongest warrior in his army and a very capable leader.
And, like, that's incredible. Like, to put it in perspective, that, like, literally every child,
is
like you said. Is
a super strong warrior.
Yeah, like, every child is, like, by 2 is riding a horse. And they're, like, fighting probably around that same time. And then that's, like, their entire life.
Yeah.
That's, like, their religion is fighting.
Yeah, and she was the strongest.
Yeah.
So, and because of how awesome she was, her dad tried to name Khutulun as his successor.
Oh.
But unfortunately, having a woman rule was not allowed. And it made people really unhappy, including her 14 brothers who were like...
14 brothers?
Yeah, I mentioned that at the beginning.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
the only girl out of 14 brothers.
Man.
Which definitely probably plays into why she was so tough, right?
Yeah.
So then in 1301, when Khutulun was 41 years old, Kaidu was dying. That's her dad. And his dying wish was for Khutulun to be the next Khan. So
like the emperor.
The emperor. Mm-hmm. He still picked her above all other warriors, above his 14 other sons, against his culture's traditions. He truly believed her to be the best person for the job.
Wow.
Yeah. But unfortunately, her brothers didn't allow it.
Of course they didn't.
Yeah.
Big surprise there.
And I'm not exactly sure how, like, the events unfolded, but ultimately a warrior named Duwa was named Khan in her place. I don't know if this is one of her brothers or if it's another relative. I didn't really look into it that much, but the guys all got together to make sure that she wasn't in charge.
Wow. So they're like, oh, it's okay if I don't, but, like, we can't have this woman. Mm-hmm. Even though she's, like, the best warrior and the best leader, probably.
Even though she was, everyone said she was the best. Like, dudes. You know what I'm saying? So Khutulun died in 1306, and we don't know the circumstances surrounding her death. There's, literally the only record is, like, Khutulun died.
It's like, we don't know if she was murdered. She could have died of natural causes.
Killed. Khutulun was killed.
Oh, that's...
But I don't know, like, I read different versions. She died, she was killed. A lot of people speculate that because all of, like, this political stuff was going on, that maybe one of her brothers had her killed or was poisoned or something so that she wouldn't... Because she actually had, like, the Mongol warriors, like, the soldiers, were behind her. Everyone was behind her except her family. Once her dad died, they were like, this is ridiculous. So it's possible they were afraid she was going to take over anyway. and had her killed.
Or that, you know, what they could have done is like, yeah, you know what, we're going to try to expand our empire. We're going to put you on the front line. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, who knows? I didn't find anything, and it just says we don't know the circumstances surrounding her death. So.
That's unfortunate.
I know. Our girl, like, kind of almost fell into obscurity a little bit, you know, after the whole, like, a few years stretch of her beating all of these men and being an undefeated wrestler princess. We don't hear a ton about her until the drama with her dad passing away and who's going to be the next Khan. And then we don't hear about her again until her death. Which is just really sad and disappointing that such a strong female figure was kind of overlooked or silenced.
Like a strong, you know, like just strong warrior, strong, like leader that had to probably overcome a lot of adversity.
Being a woman.
Yeah, being a woman, like in a very, like, you know, male-dominated society.
Yeah, it sounds super macho.
So, yeah. So it just kind of, it stinks that she had to, you know, fall into obscurity.
Yeah, absolutely. But to end this little story on a somewhat sweet and happy note, Mongolia, this is what I read. So if anyone's from Mongolia or has, like, ties to Mongolian culture, you can let us know if this is true. Mongolia continues to honor Khutulun's story to this day. The traditional outfit that's worn by Mongolian wrestlers is conspicuously an open-chested outfit. Your chest is showing.
Oh.
And the reason being is this is to prove that the wrestler isn't a woman, but it's not like, oh, because women can't fight. It's to honor Khutulun, the strongest fighter, was a woman. So it's like, oh, we got to make sure there's no girls in here because they could kick our ass.
Ah, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a very, very sweet nod to her. And that is the story of Khutulun, the Mongolian wrestler princess.
Oh, so awesome. I love that story.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, you know, and also something that I love is that, like, her brothers probably fell into obscurity. Like, you know, we don't know their names. We don't know anything about them. But we know about her. Yeah,
even though we don't have a ton of info, you're right. Like, that's actually a really good point. We still do know about her.
Yeah, exactly.
Which goes to show none of them, I think, I mean, as far as we know, we also don't know a ton about Mongolian history, but I don't think any of them were as great as her father believed she could be.
I know. She's just so sad.
I know. But we remember her now. There's some pop culture references to her that I saw. Like, I think there was, like, a character in her TV show recently that was, like, modeled after her. But a lot of them obviously aren't super accurate. And that has to do with us not knowing a lot about her. But I wanted to honor her in this, like, first episode.
Yeah, our very first episode.
Because she definitely would have been considered a weirdo, right? People were even, she was so weird that people were even like, she's sleeping with her dad. Like,
yeah, because, you know, that's a logical conclusion.
Obviously. This girl is so badass, so tough, so strong. She must be sleeping with her dad. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, she's sleeping with her dad, I'm kind.
Yeah. So, that is our very first weirdo, Khutulun.
Yes. Thank you, Khutulun.
Thank you.
If you're listening, you're awesome.
Okay, so that is the story for our first episode. Thank you all so much to whoever is listening to this. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that you had a little bit of fun with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you liked our weirdness, please hit that subscribe button so you can get all the episodes as soon as they come out. And you know what? If you want to engage with us, we have TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So go to historyforweirdos.com to get all the latest content. You can at us at history_for_weirdos to get us at TikTok,
which we still are trying to figure out.
Yeah, by the way, we're millennials. We're not Gen Z. Yeah. So
be patient with us.
Yeah, exactly. The first time that, like, millennials are, like, old for something weird, and then of course, you know, Twitter and Instagram is just at historyforweirdos.
Thank you guys so much. We will catch you in the next episode.
Yeah, catch you on the flip side, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.